from WBBZ-TV Sports. It's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
With Janelle Sabin and Sue Novoitsky, my name is Paul Peck, and welcome to Beat the Champ, week number 2 at the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. We got some history in week 1 as we watch Kevin Bienko set a new Beat the Champ record with his 7th consecutive victory, and he may not be done yet, Sue.
Well, we know how good he is. The viewers know how good he is, but do the 2 newcomers today know how good he is? So those guys are going to be worried about their first debut on TV. They may not be thinking about what Kevin Bienko has accomplished.
Yeah, and in John Grembowicz and David Zajac, our first 2 bowlers of this show, both newcomers. Maybe we don't know how good they can be. We know how good Mike Zarcone is. He'll be our 3rd bowler of the day, so we'll see. Kevin's going to get a test.
Oh, absolutely, because we know that Zarcone's not. He's got some revenge out here on Beat the Champ.
Yes, and you remembered the revenge that he's after, right, Janelle?
Yes.
Because it was Mike's record that Kevin broke.
Yeah, Kevin broke Mike Zarcone's record, and maybe if Kevin's still up there by the time Mike's up to bowl, he'll get his revenge back on Kevin then.
Somehow I sense that Mike Zarcone hasn't forgotten that it was his record that Kevin broke, so it should be a great week of bowling. Week number 2 at the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls, and let's get rolling. First match of the day has Bienko being challenged by newcomer John Grembowicz from nearby Lockport, 45 years old, been bowling 24 years, full-time employee, warehouse lead for the XPO company. That's the vitals on John Grembowicz. So first chance for us to see him here on Beat the Champ. Can he use some of the home bowling advantage, or at least the Niagara County bowling advantage, to end the win streak of Kevin Bienko? Time to find out. And a little bit of a nervous first throw there for John Grembowicz.
Yeah, the ball speed was a little slow on that. Kind of going to have to amp it up a little bit. But, you know, this is first time on TV, first ball on TV, bowling against the great Kevin Bienko. I can't imagine what's going through his mind.
There's a lot going through his mind. Let's see what he can do with this. He'll get 2. He'll leave 1. So an open in the first frame for John Grembowicz in his Beat the Champ debut. And now here comes Kevin Bienko. I don't know what more we have left to say about him, but we can tell you flat out, 7 wins in a row. That's a new Beat the Champ record. He did that last week with his victory over Chuck Jagosinski. He broke the logjam of bowlers that had knocked off 6 in a row, which included Mike Zarcone, Matt White, and Tyler Molina twice. At Beat the Champ TV and hashtag Beat the Champ is your place to find all the information you need on Twitter, and of course like us on the Beat the Champ Facebook page for all the latest information on qualifying and scoring and top 24s and top 9s, all on the social media outlets. So Kevin Bienko, a couple of pins left, gets them, and it's a spare in the first frame for Kevin.
We've seen a lot of great shots out of Kevin. We've seen a lot of great bowling out of Kevin, but when he does falter, it does seem to be a little bit of a miss to the right, leaving that light spare, that 2-8, a 2-pin combination. So right there he started off with a little bit of a slip up there, leaving that 2-8 makeable spare.
Something that I think we've noticed from carryover from last week's show is he's really lining up to the left to try to find the sweet spot in lanes 27 and 28 here, and you'll notice it very much more when he shifts over to 28. You'll see him butted up right against the rail on the ball return.
Well, that's also another obstacle he's going to have to deal with, because he's got only so far he can go. He's got all the time in the world here on lane 27. He can move into lane 26 and have what he needs, but 28 is going to be a little bit of an obstacle that way.
Spares in the first 2 frames for Kevin Bienko, and now John JJ Grembowicz. He said it's okay to call him JJ, so if it's okay with him, it's good with us. 45 years old, from Lockport, 215 average, coming off a previous city title, a Lockport City Doubles title, winner of that event. Bowls regularly on Tuesdays at Alley Brant Lanes and Wednesdays at Manor 2, and obviously I think spends a little time bowling up here at Rapids as well.
Well, the players get to warm up, and they get a considerable amount of warm up, but they get it on the practice pair, and the practice pair has been bowled on all day. So when they come here to the TV pair that's had some games on it, it's had a lot more traffic, it's a little bit of an adjustment, even though, you know, they get a few practice shots. You see a little bit of adjustment process going on here when they first start.
Now, a tough break there for John as he could not get the 2-pin spare, so it's opens in the first 2 for John Grembowicz. And now he'll slide over to lane 27. You got to look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, manned as always by Janelle Sabin. Early scores in this one. John Grembowicz has 25 career 300 games and a high 825 series, and just having trouble finding the right spot here as he's leaving a lot of pins with that first throw.
Well, JJ changed balls on this shot, and I think that the first ball that he threw on 27 was just a little bit slow, and he could have amped up that ball speed a little bit, but he chose to change balls, so now he's fishing around, seeing what different balls do while he's in the middle of competition, and that's always scary.
4-pin picket fence on the left side, and he gets it. Nice job by John Grembowicz to get the spare in the 3rd frame. And now here you'll have a chance to kind of notice how much to the left Kevin Bienko sets up. Incredibly consistent through the 7-match winning streak. He has averaged 225.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
We have a first-timer here on Beat the Champ. Tell us about your Beat the Champ experience.
It's going well. Qualifying, I threw a couple splits and all that, but I qualified to get in. Last night we had to do the top 9, so I made that, and here I am today.
Any nerves out there?
Of course, yeah.
Have you bowled on TV before?
About 5 years ago at Alley Grants.
Okay, so just remember that, and it'll all come together. So good luck to you today.
Thank you.
Looks like Kevin's kind of found his spot here with this ball change.
Boy, just a nice, easy, consistent motion, arm swing, form, just like when you're watching a great golfer. They do it the same way every time.
If you weren't sure you're on WBBZ, you might have thought you switched over and you were on the PBA telecast.
No
That's
kidding.
how good he throws it.
And frankly, I think at some point you're going to flip over to the PBA telecast and possibly see a Kevin Bienko. Amongst other than bowling, John J.J. Grembowicz has some other interest. He umps baseball, is a baseball umpire at the high school level. Plays some summer baseball and is a big outdoorsman involved in hunting and fishing. So John has a lot of interests other than bowling, and that's great. Hey, that's 2 in a row.
Again, we're going to say how critical equipment is in this sport. And JJ went from fishing around with a bowling ball to finding a bowling ball that gave him good ball reaction. And I'm sure he relaxed a little bit. But I can tell you it's very difficult to relax when you don't have a good reaction to the pocket. So good for him that he actually found the right ball and got himself together here and put a double up on the board.
You know, you mentioned, he broke out a new ball, which has certainly risks involved in it. That's 3 in a row. But I get it, big time TV. It's like putting your brand new outfit on for the first day of school, right?
Well, in that case, when you see that you're not going to strike with the ball in your hands, you can go out there all day long and struggle, or you can try something new. Right. So he did the right thing.
There's the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep scoreboard, Ram scoreboard, as JJ has snuck into this one, but not if Kevin keeps pounding strikes. That's 3 in a row.
Wow, I'm going to tell you, that was one truly great shot that he just threw right there.
Why? What was so great about it?
It was thrown with confidence. It was thrown, he got really good snap at the bottom of it. It was just perfect to his target. He just did everything right on that shot. And it comes with being relaxed and knowing what he's got out there.
There's another one. 4 in a row for Kevin Bienko.
And Kevin's not super demonstrative out on the lanes, but you almost can see it in his body language. You can see just staying out there a little bit second with his arm swing, just watching the ball go through his target a little bit. You can tell that by his body language that he feels really good about these shots.
It's a 66-pin advantage right now for Kevin Bienko as John Grembowicz heads to the 8th frame, even though he's run 3 strikes in a row. Look at the focus, watch the face and the lineup and the setup and the approach. 4 in a row for John Grembowicz. Don't forget the top qualifier at each month's stop here on Beat the Champ, and next month we'll head to Classic Lanes. But the top qualifier wins a television from Dirt Cheap TV valued at $500. That happens every month at our latest qualifying stop. And as I mentioned, we've already locked in our qualifiers for Classic Lanes, and they will be moving back here to Rapids Bowling Center. So keep an eye on the Facebook page for the dates of the qualifier here back at Rapids. And it's 5 in a row, a late fall on the 10-pin.
What do you call that? What came and hit that?
The messenger.
There you go.
Hey,
perfect.
How about that? I get one of these right every once in a while.
Oh, that's awesome. I put you on the spot.
Yes,
nice
you
job.
did, and I don't necessarily appreciate that, but I did come up with, hey, I am the reigning Beat the Champ Challenge bowling winner, so I've got to step my game up a little bit, right? Speaking of stepping games up, Kevin Bienko is a bowling machine right now. That is 5 in a row for him as he continues to maintain the lead, even though John Grembowicz has gone 5 in a row.
Well, great recovery by JJ. I mean, honestly, that was he was put in a difficult situation. They're talking about being put on the spot. What a difficult situation, you know, coming out and having the wrong ball in his hand and making a really good decision. But this guy right here is just bowling poetry.
Yes, that is as well said as I could have ever come up with anything. Beautifully said, bowling poetry. 6 in a row.
He's gonna like that one when we throw that one at him.
I'm not sure that you'll put that on the back of your bowling shirt, but it couldn't tell a better story.
Well,
it is perfection on display right now from Kevin Bienko.
Just trying to be modest out there.
As he is cruising towards his 8th consecutive victory. And he's going to get it. So we'll watch one more here as Kevin Bienko will finish things out for an 8th consecutive win. He finishes off the spare, puts up a 248 score, 8 in a row for Kevin Bienko. Let's see who's next. How long will the streak continue? We'll talk to JJ Grembowicz and get you ready for match number 2 when Beat the Champ continues right after this. .248 to .212, the final score as Kevin Bienko comes up with his 8th consecutive win. JJ, you put up quite a battle there in your first appearance here on Beat the Champ. What a great way to finish it, but I know it's the start that you're hanging with right now.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll get used to it. In sports, I'm not used to them. Wrong ball the first time. So, finished strong. That's what I wanted to do. So, hoping for him to open. He didn't. Good bowler.
Yeah, no kidding, but you did a nice job in your debut. Make him feel a little better
great
here.
bowling, JJ. Thanks for coming out, man.
Thanks.
All right, so JJ Grembowicz comes up a little short against Kevin Bienko. Can Kevin keep that streak alive? Next match coming up next on Beat the Champ.
I'm here with our hometown favorite. Looking forward to bowling in your home house?
Absolutely. I'm really excited, actually, yeah.
First TV show. What are you thinking?
It was a little intimidating at first, seeing the lights and everything like that, but talking to George, Bluesky, and Dana kind of eased my nerves a little bit.
Well, I know what a great bowler you are, and I know how familiar you are with this bowling center. So we expect to see big things out of you today.
Hopefully.
All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Match number 2, and the latest guy to end the Kevin Bienko streak will be David Zajac, making his Beat the Champ debut.
David versus Goliath, right?
Yes, this is truly Beat the Champ's version of David versus Goliath. Now, all that said about David Zajac in his debut, he's a very accomplished bowler, coach, outstanding bowler up here in Niagara County, so this guy knows his way down the lanes.
Right, just because we haven't seen him on Beat the Champ yet doesn't mean that people won't recognize him, because he is a well-known bowler in this area.
I'll tell you more about him in a moment. Good start for David Zajac, 26 years old from Niagara Falls, but here's the man of the moment, 21-year-old from Tonawanda, Kevin Bienko, riding an 8-match winning streak. He has already blown by the previous record set on Beat the Champ, which was 6, and he continues to add to his own record. Coming off another outstanding performance in our first match with a 248, and there he is off to a good start.
Just picking up where he left off, right?
It's just continuing. I almost feel like I don't even want to say picking up where he left off. He just continues to kill it here. I mean, an incredible amount of consistency.
Well, right now he's so lined up, and he is so comfortable where he is, and he knows exactly what he's got out there, and it shows in his execution. Ooh.
Except for that one. What happened there? Way right.
Probably heard our voices, and that plays in your mind. But yeah, but that just shows you this lane condition, that how accurate he's been. He just missed that one to the right, and there's so much oil to the right that we talked about the oil making the ball skid, and that ball just got taken by the oil to the right like that. He didn't throw it to the right like that. He hit that oil pattern. That oil took it to that way.
All right, so now a little bit of a challenging second shot here in frame 2.
It's just like shooting. It's just like a strike ball for him.
And that's exactly what he did. How about that? Kevin Bienko with a first ball 3-pin, second ball 7-pin spare.
Well,
is there a nickname for that?
No,
Lucky?
but he did it. He did it on a strike, so it might as well be 9 spare. Just rung that 10 and had to make the spare. That's all. That's how we look at it as bowlers.
There are your stats on David Zajac, 26 years old from Niagara Falls. Works for Niagara County and is also Damon College's head women's bowling coach. I didn't like it, but I like the results.
Well, we know we have that little strip there on lane 28, and he was calling for it to hook in it, and it did. He's using a ball, as you can tell, is very, very dull. So that ball is out there to grip the lane and to make its way through that oil and not just skid through the oil. So it did roll up thanks to the right ball. We've seen how much the right ball means as we go along here and Beat the Champ.
Third frame, lane 27 for David Zajac.
Great shot.
I can't tell whether he doesn't like them or whether, because you can hear, I hope you can hear him, we can hear him as soon as he throws the ball.
No, he's just chirping
cheering
out
him
there.
on, chirping? Okay, I gotcha. It's a perfect start. 3 strikes, 3 frames for David Zajac.
2 more frames like that, and we're going to mic him up and hear what he has to say.
I was going to say, so really some pressure on Kevin Bienko at the moment from his opponent. And he responds with a solid messenger that takes out that last pin and gets him a strike. And I almost feel like Kevin Bienko's the kind of guy that will rise to the challenge of a good bowler on the opposite lane.
Well, he's got a great ball. He's got great ball reaction. That was just got away from him a bit, but I have no doubt he's going to get right back on.
Continues to be impressive. 3 strikes in the first 4 frames for Kevin Bienko. And now back to David Zajac, bowls regularly at Kenmore lanes and at the Bowladrome lanes during the week. 6-800 series, high 848, 22-300 games. The 2011 National Junior College Kerm-Helmer Award winner at ECC, 2011 part of the national team champion at ECC, and the 2017 Greater Buffalo USBC City Tournament Scratch Team champion. And he is perfect through 4 frames.
Wow. Great bowling right out of the gate, huh?
Terrific bowling, and as I mentioned, a great resume for David Zajac. As you look at Janelle Sabin and the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, showing one heck of a match here early on between Zajac and Bienko. Fifth frame. Perfect through 4. Perfect through 5.
Well, it's interesting to see how they're playing the lanes as their target. Their target down the lane is not different. How they're getting to that target is totally different. As Kevin is standing way to the left, and he is going through the left side of the lane to get to that target.
Perfectly illustrated on that throw.
But if you look, when that ball's starting to make its turn, their balls are pretty close to being in the same spot. And that's one of the tricks of bowling, is that even though, you know, it's all about break point, and how they're getting to that break point is style, equipment, hand strength, you know, but it's still getting to that break point. And it turns right there.
I'll tell you what, these guys are locked in. We know Kevin's been locked in, but let's see if David can continue it as well, as he has locked himself into 5 strikes through the first 5 frames. At age 13, in 2004, David Zajac threw a 300 game, the first of his bowling career. It remains the Niagara Falls record for the youngest sanctioned 300 game ever bowled in the Niagara Falls Bowling Association. Perfect through 6.
Wow.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
Got it. 7 in a row. Whatever he's doing to cheer that ball on as it's making its way down the alley, it is working. What a match this is.
He's making great shots. His timing's perfect. He looks like he's been here before. It doesn't look like his first show at all.
Not at all. So Kevin Bienko finds himself down 50 pins in the 7th frame. And he's sure doing what he needs to do to stay on top of that. He's been perfect except for a spare in the 2nd frame. So we are chock full of X's on the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. You can see it yourself right there. Look at what these guys are doing. Amazing.
I'd like to reiterate, this is not your typical easy lane condition either. You're not seeing them play up 10 and miss to the right and miss to the left.
There's another one for Bienko.
These guys are making great shots. And that's another thing you'll see. If you've got a typical house shot, every bowler is going to play in the same spot. You're not going to see people playing inside of 4th arrow, or in between the 3rd and 4th arrow, and some people playing the 1st arrow. You're going to see everyone playing in the same shot on a typical house shot, and you can see how these guys are approaching the condition differently, that it's just not a typical house shot.
8th frame, David Zajac.
Oh, hurry, hurry!
And the perfect streak comes to an end as the 10-pin ends that streak. So it'll be a spare opportunity in the 8th frame. We're all set for our qualifying for next month's Beat the Champ at Classic Lanes, but we'll be back here at the Rapids Bowling Center later in the fall. Those qualifying dates yet to be announced, but they will be available on the Facebook page. And remember, top 24 qualifier wins television from Dirt Cheap TV, valued at $500. So what did I say? At one point it was a 60-pin advantage. Now it's down to a 17-pin advantage for Zajac. Needs the spare here in the 8th frame. Oh, he missed it. He missed it. A critical open in the 8th frame for David Zajac, and just like that, perfect through 7, and then all of a sudden that happens, and that could change this whole match.
Well, that put Kevin Bienko in the lead sitting on the bench. I mean, that was just a very critical open. And the difference between the fact that Kevin's mishap took 3 off the right and made the spare, because it was where it was in the match and where it was next to a strike, it didn't hurt him at all. But missing a spare is going to make a big difference in this match.
So, boy, what a swing of a turn of events here in these last couple of frames for David Zajac, who looked like he was on his way to doing what seemed to be impossible, which is ending Kevin Bienko's 8-match winning streak. But we'll see. That's still a possibility. It's a 9th frame spare for David Bienko, or I'm sorry, David Zajac rather.
I believe that David's girls team is going to give him a few nudges for that,
Yeah.
because I'm sure he's preaching making your spares. So we all know how important that is in the game of bowling.
Head women's bowling coach at Damon College. Here's the 8-9 frame, and what else from Kevin Bienko but a strike? 7 in a row for Bienko. 8 of the 9 frames have been strikes for him.
So what we're looking at here is the best David can do is to go up and fill all 3 frames in the 10th with strikes and end up with a 257. So this shot right here is this is a big shot here for Kevin to shut this match out.
And it looks like that's what he'll do with yet another strike, and the streak will continue. It's now 9 in a row for Kevin Bienko. He is pushed to his limits by David Zajac, but another incredibly impressive performance for Bienko. Boy, he just responded to the pressure coming from his opponent.
I mean, he's looking at shooting 280 this match if he doubles here. All right, so he's not going to get to 280, but he's still looking at a 260, and he needed every bit of that to beat David, because David still has a 257 up on the board.
So it was a 248 in the first match. It's going to be even better than that in the second for Kevin Bienko, who has averaged, coming into these 2 matches of the day, 225. Spare goes for Bienko, and a final score on the board at 268. Boy, what an amazing match. 268, and he's going to need almost all of it, like you said, in order to get a win. And just, again, the ability to adapt to the competition, to raise your game to another level, to you're bowling great, but now all of a sudden you're getting pushed, and you might need a 250 or a 260 to win. And what does he do? He does it. Amazing.
Yep, another one for Kevin.
So it's going to be 8 in a row, make it 9 in a row now for Kevin Bienko as he comes up with the win. And David Zajac got nothing to be unhappy about other than not winning, but what a great debut for him. And that's a guy that if he can find some time with all the other things he's doing in his life, might be the next guy to rattle off a lot of wins here on Beat the Champ. And impressive to finally get our first look at David Zajac a year and a half or so into Beat the Champ. So this match will be one of our more memorable ones. This is our 3rd time here at the Rapids Bowling Center, including the very first Beat the Champ back in January of 2016. And I don't know if there's been a more memorable match than this one, to see Bienko get a 9th consecutive win, but to see Zajac start with 7 consecutive strikes and really put one heck of a test. A 255 is not enough for Zajac. 268 to 255. We'll talk to David when we return to the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. A 255 in his Beat the Champ debut, not enough for you, David Zajac, as Bienko continues to dominate with his 268. But you stayed with him match for match against the hottest guy. Now, how were you able to kind of keep your focus?
Man, Kevin's probably one of the toughest bowlers in Beat the Champ and in Western New York, so it was pretty tough to do it from the get-go, but I knew if I put a little pressure on him, stayed relaxed, make a match out of it.
You sure did put some pressure on him with 7 consecutive strikes. What happened in the 8th frame?
8th frame got a little fast in the first ball, and then just completely lost focus on the spare. Just got too lax with it and missed my mark.
All right, Jake, that was one heck of a show, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was a great show. Great bowling, Dave.
Thanks, buddy.
Shake his hand there. He's going to give you some money. What a great match, and we've got another potential for an outstanding match coming up. It's Bienko and Zarcone, and it's next on Beat the Champ.
Well, familiar face around here. Last month, Sports Shot kind of threw things off a little bit, but you made it right back again. What's the strategy?
Well, I threw the ball pretty good this week, so we're going to give it a go again.
All right, so a little bit of a more difficult shot again this month here?
Yeah, it was a little tricky, but I seem to match up well, so we'll see what happens.
All right, well, you're ready to end that streak and get things going?
Yeah, it'll be nice.
All right, Mike, nice seeing you again.
All right, thanks.
Good luck.
What a battle of the Titans this is. Mike Zarcone going to challenge Kevin Bienko. Can Mike be the guy to end the 9-match winning streak? And keep in mind, it was Mike that was tied for the record until last week when Bienko went flying by in the left lane here.
Yeah, that record's going to be, that lasted a long time, and now it's going to be even harder to beat.
And Mike Zarcone, one of our all-time best Beat the Champ bowlers. If anybody's ready to do that, it's him. Tell you more about Mike's outstanding achievements. I don't know what more we can continue to say about Kevin Bienko, but here he is, 9-0 at Beat the Champ. It's a 9-match winning streak, and he has stepped his game up this week, and particularly with winning scores of 268 and 248. So he's not sneaking by. He is dominating right now.
Right, and he is not playing the lanes in your typical straight up the boards way. I mean, this man is like inside, crossing 4th arrow, getting the ball to the right, bringing it back. It's just beautiful to watch.
So what's it going to take for him to beat a guy like Mike Zarcone, one of the greats, Hall of Fame bowler, one of the all-time best in Western, one of the best on this show? Is Bienko thinking about that at all?
Well, you know, he's a great competitor, and he's seen a lot of tournament conditions. He's been in a lot of tournament situations, so I think that he's just playing his own game, and that's kind of how you have to look at it. There's no defense in bowling, so the only thing you can control is your own execution. So don't think he's worrying too much about Mike Zarcone, what he's accomplished, but Mike Zarcone's had a few more years out there on the lanes to get to where he's at.
Strike in the second for Kevin Bienko. What's going through a bowler's mind, like in that last match against Zajac, where he starts with 7 straight strikes, and you're thinking this guy is never going to miss? How do you not let it sneak into your head that, boy, I'm bowling great, but maybe this just isn't my match?
Well, it's interesting you say what sneaks into your head, because I think what sneaks into the head of the great ones is different than what sneaks into the head of the really, really good above average bowlers. I mean,
I think what sneaks into the mind of the great ones is I'm great, and whatever I need to do to be great, if that's bowl 300 or 299, I'm going to do it.
Right. Well, I've bowled with Liz Johnson for 20-some years, 22 years, so to know, I've seen how a great one really, truly reacts to adversity, and they don't let those self-doubts creep into their minds. It's just not the way they operate. There's something deeper they reach into, and they focus more, not less. So we already know Kevin's going to be one of those great ones.
Well, and we already know Mike Zarcone is there already. Aside from all of his achievements in Western New York, he's been great on this show. This is his 15th Beat the Champ show appearance, more than anybody else. He has an overall record of 12 wins and 10 losses. Those 12 wins are tied with Tyler Molina and Matt Zazowski for the most on Beat the Champ. But, here's an interesting but. Mike's 0-3 in 2017 on this show.
Well, that just gives him something to motivate him every single time he comes to bowl a qualifier. But think about how amazing it is to finish in the top 9 every time you bowl that tournament in a different house, because that's really what he's accomplished.
Another strike, third frame for Kevin Bienko. Yeah, it's, you know, we see Mike's as much a regular on this show as you, me, and Janelle are, because we see him every month, and that's because he's a great bowler. And I haven't asked him about this because you just don't ask competitors about that, but it's odd that he's struggled since the calendar year, and the last 3 appearances he's been on the show have been one and dones.
Well, if you can look at it that way, but it's by the sheer amount of time he's been on the show that's become even a factor. I mean, if he was only on it once or twice a year like some of the other guys are, we wouldn't have those huge stats to weigh things against. I mean, it's the fact that he's on this show so much. And again, it's not just because he gets a free spot onto the show.
No.
He literally goes to a different bowling center every single month and makes his show.
He is one of Western New York's best, and right now so is this guy. Here's Bienko looking for the spare in the 4th frame, and he gets it.
So we're all tied up after 2. And, you know, we've seen Kevin be challenged, and we've seen Kevin sort of like run away in the beginning of the match. And, you know, even against JJ, the challenge came later in the match.
Yeah.
And JJ did get it together and get all those strikes and force Kevin to stay on his game. So even through 3.
Is it surprising to you that Kevin has been able to handle that part of the sport as young as he is? Would you think that'd be something that would come with experience as he starts to tour more and compete at a higher level and starts to go against great bowl? But I mean, he's 21 years old and he doesn't seem to be fazed by any of this.
But he's been competing for longer than other people have been competing who's been bowling leagues a lot longer. I mean, there's just no match for that competition, and he's put himself out there at a young age. And there's so much more for the young people to bowl. We've talked about junior gold, and we've talked about there's a thing called the SMART program where bowlers can youth bowlers can come in, and whatever money that's in that tournament will go into their college earnings as opposed to them being paid out in cash. But it's allowed these guys to get out there, and guys and girls to get out there and compete at a much younger age and get this experience under their belt.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
You know, he's just put himself in all the right places.
And I think an indication of that, and we've talked about this, but to win the Obenauer Masters at age 21 goes a lot towards what you're talking about. It's an ordeal. It's a long, you have to be consistent. You're bowling against the best guys in Western New York, so there's no off matches. Whoever's on that opposite side in the Obenauer, particularly as you advance forward, is going to be one of the great ones. So for him to win it at 21, and I think he's the youngest to ever win the Obenauer, and don't quote me on that. I might not be right about that, but I think so. That says an awful lot.
Well, the one thing that you can't learn, and that has to come with your disposition, would be the ability to keep your emotions in check. Because if your emotions are not in check in this game, there goes your ball speed, there goes your accuracy, there goes your focus. So part of his nature, and even by talking to him, you can tell he's just an even-keeled, kind of good-natured person. He does not let his emotions get away from him.
Guess what? We're in the 7th frame, and this match is tied. Now, Mike has just pulled slightly ahead with that strike, but we are dead even as Kevin Bienko goes to the 7th frame. What else would you expect in a match between Bienko and Zarcone?
Well, but we're back to the ball in Kevin's hand, and he can, you know, pull back into the lead again, and by striking. But he's going to need it.
And he gets it. 3 in a row for Kevin Bienko.
And I can tell you that just as anything can go through your head, and you can start thinking, I really need this, and channel it that way. They got to block all those thoughts right out of their head. It's just, this is my target, this is how I get to it, end of story. It doesn't matter what the score is.
Don't forget, qualifying is coming up soon for our return trip here to the Rapids Bowling Center after a stop at Classic Lanes next month. And keep an eye on the Facebook page for all the dates for qualifying. And don't forget, top 24 qualifier wins television from Dirt Cheap TV valued at $500. 4 in a row for Kevin Bienko as we head towards the 8th frame here from Mike Zarcone.
So that double there put Kevin in a 10-point lead and has that strike advantage that Now Mike's going to have to match in order to stay just within 10 pins, which he did.
Of course he will, right? Mike knows what he needs.
So now Mike has an opportunity to turn this match back on Kevin and put him on it. So this is just the perfect scenario.
Boy, what a great series of matches we have had seen this week. And as we started the show with two guys making their debuts, I don't know that we expected that, but Grembowicz and Zajac put up great tests, and Kevin Bienko has answered the bell. Speaking of answering the bell, that is 4 in a row for Zarcone.
That was a great shot. And the last shot in that lane, he got a little bit right of that, and it came back a little lopey and left that kind of weak 10 pin. And this shot he adjusted, and he kept it in a little bit more, and it hit a lot harder.
9th frame for Kevin Bienko in a very tight match. What else would you expect but a 5th strike in a row?
I can tell you that for as long as I've bowled, watching this never gets old. These are great shots these guys are making.
They just look like a string of strikes, but you're seeing the real intricacies of what these guys are doing.
We know what's on the line. I mean, we know that Mike wants to break his losing streak as much as Kevin wants to continue his winning streak. So there's a lot going on here, and these guys are still going out there executing perfect shots.
6 in a row. You know, I'm just noticing as I look over at Mike Zarcone, maybe you guys have already noticed it. I think he wore that Greater USBC Hall of Fame shirt on purpose today.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So remember where he came from, and that he earned his spot here, and that he's earned the recognition.
Don't forget who I am over here, youngster. 10th frame now. Bienko's already
Kevin's
struck
in a
once.
position here where he can actually shut Mike out.
Just amazing. 7 in a row.
And that is all she wrote.
So it's just incredible. We've run out of things to say here, and
another 260 game out there for him.
Amazing. 248, 268, and 260 plus again here. What a week for Kevin Bienko. And of course, ending it with a strike and getting a nice round of applause from the folks here at the Rapids Bowling Center after a 269. You know, as much as Mike won't be happy about not winning, I know when we talk to Mike here after the break that he's going to say this just admires what Kevin has been able to do here. Well, nobody knows what it's like to win consecutive matches and deal with the rigors of this competition better than Mike Zarcone.
I mean, he's going to post most likely a 250 game up there today, and can't be sad about that.
No. I mean, there isn't much you could have asked Mike Zarcone to do other than what he already did, but when guys throw 269s against you and end with 8 straight strikes, what are you supposed to do?
I know, 269, 259, it's looking like out there.
This is amazing. It is amazing to watch. It really is. It's a 10 consecutive wins.
Well, that's when you shake your opponent's hand and you say, keep up the good work, because both these guys put on a great show.
Yeah, no question. A 258 is, again, not good enough to win for Mike Zarcone, and we will talk to both guys about a match for the ages when Beat the Champ returns to the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls right after this. I feel like I can safely say that may be one of the best matches, if not the best we've ever had on Beat the Champ, a 269 to 258 win for Kevin Bienko over Mike Zarcone. I know that's not in the Beat the Champ Hall of Fame section you want to be in, but take us through. You put as much pressure on him as anybody, and you still couldn't win.
I threw everything at him, but he was tough. He's a great bowler.
What is it that makes Kevin so special, Mike?
I think Brad Angelo, he's worked with him, and he's brought him a long way. He's a great talent.
Yeah, boy, just amazing, and things continue. Jake, make him try to feel a little better.
Yeah, great point, Mike. There's not much you can do, buddy.
Sue?
All right, well, we know as bowlers that, you know, it's how you channel the pressure. I mean, and how is it that you go about these pressure situations?
You know, I just try and take it one shot at a time and throw it as good as I can. And luckily, I was able to do that the last 2 matches here today.
So you don't really watch your opponent, you just stay in your own game?
I mean, I watch them minimally. I know the score, and then I just try and make my shots count and focus on my game.
Okay, well, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
And he may very well. It's already 10 in a row for Kevin. He'll go for 11 in a row. Next week, Sue and I come back to wrap up an amazing week here on Beat the Champ right after this. What an incredible week for Kevin Bienko. The 3 matches were outstanding. The win streak up to 10. You ran the numbers on what he did this week.
Well, he had a 3-game total of 785, which gives us a 261 average. They got to come out and shoot 262 to beat this guy, you know.
Crazy.
Those are big numbers.
And everybody pushed him hard this week, including Mike Zarcone, and he responded, which I think really shows sort of the heart of a champion.
Yeah, well, we know that we've got a real champ to beat, don't we?
Yeah, and I don't know who was going to do it, Janelle, and Mike Zarcone was as good a possibility as anybody.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about Mike having some revenge on the line,
Right.
but boy, it was fun to watch. Had to be fun. You had a great view of that
definitely.
one.
I mean, you could see they were definitely zoning in, focused. The pressure was on. It was anyone's game at that point, but Kevin came up and took it all.
Will anybody stop Kevin Bienko? Can he completely sweep a month? Well, you better tune in next week to find out as we continue Beat the Champ from the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. We'll see you next week.